Okay, and there we are live. Good day and welcome back to another episode of the Air Force Podcast. My name is Jaco and today we've got Dr. Kim Bishop here with us. Thanks for being here, Dr. Bishop.
Thank you so much to you, Yaku. It's an absolute pleasure to be joining you to tell my story today.
So, on that notion of telling your story, you have quite an interesting story being a doctor, also being in the military. How do you combine those things? How did you get into, well, I would say both of those fields?
Well, I think like all the best things in life, they happen by chance, you know? It certainly wasn't planned that way, but I studied at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, the Nelson R. Mandela School of Medicine. So straight after school, I became a doctor first, if I can just sort of clarify that. And so as a doctor, straight after we were qualified from university, we're meant to do 2 years of internship training as a young doctor that I did at King Edward Hospital in Durban. And it's after those 2 years of internship that we're supposed to do another year of community service. So this is a mandatory year of your training still as a community service doctor. And it's in that community service year that I applied to do that year with the South African National Defence Force. And I was lucky enough to get a position in a clinic that was very close to where I lived, but on a military base. And that's how my military career began, actually.
Okay. And then why did you want to go into, I would say, the military field, into the defense field? What kind of motivated you to do that?
Right. I know it does sound a bit, like strange that a doctor would want to be there. To be honest, I just found it an adventure. And I think in my life, I've never ever closed off any opportunity. And so when an exciting opportunity presents itself to me, I'm that kind of person where I always like to grab it. And so when the document of all the placements, all the hospitals that were available for us to apply for this community service position, when I saw the military position and it was pretty close to where I lived, I thought, why not? Let me apply and give it a shot. And I think it was meant to be for me to end up there and begin my military career.
Okay. You've now talked about opportunities, that you never say no to a good opportunity. How do you identify those opportunities? How do you see, okay, this will be a good opportunity, this one might not be so good? How do you distinguish between those things?
I think it's more of a gut feeling in life. Again, like most things, I think for any person as they develop, for you to be in touch with your discernment and your personality and who you are, you tend to trust your gut a lot in certain situations. And so I think there are many things, if I just think about it, that attracted me to that position. I mean, we identify the military with what? Discipline and structure and order and certain physical aspects as well, and an element of adventure. And I think it's those particular things about the military that attracted me to that position at that point in my life. I was a single woman. I had the world ahead of me. So I was all up for this position, to be honest.
Okay. And you also mentioned having a gut feeling. You have just something in your head telling you, okay, this is what I'm going to do. What is that gut? What is a gut feeling? How do people get that kind of gut feeling? Okay, this is what I should do. Do you think it's a predisposition in the mind? Do you think it is something that is actually back there? What is that kind of gut feeling that people get?
I think that's a wonderful question to explore. And whenever I am trying to encourage young people, especially because that's a real passion of mine, to encourage young people and all people, in fact. So I think a gut feeling is something that's developed. It's a skill that's developed like most things in life. So when you start making decisions in your young adult life, and you make decision after decision, and your decisions start producing outcomes that are successful, then you start developing this gut feeling and this discernment within yourself. And I think it's very much related to the self-actualization that we talk of from a psychological point of view. So as a person develops within themselves, in their career, in their lives, this gut feeling develops like anything else. It matures because you've made so many more successful decisions, one after the other. Not to say that they've all been successful, because I've definitely made some decisions that also haven't worked out along the way. But those, I think, as well, tend to teach you which gut feelings to listen to and which not to.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So you'd say it's kind of it's a learning progress. It's trial and error kind of process, and with that you kind of build your own gut IQ, you would say.
That's right. I think that's wonderful.
Okay.
I think we can patent that line, Yaku. Your
Okay.
gut feeling IQ. I think that's a wonderful thing to patent. And like I say, it's such a beautiful and exciting conversation to have. No matter what you're doing, no matter what industry you're in life, that gut feeling and that sense of knowing yourself and knowing what's right and what's not right for you is an incredible part of one's self-development.
Okay, and on the note of self-development, how would you say that the years in the military helped you with your self-development, helped you with your personal development, especially the personal side of your life?
Oh, I tell you, those 4 years that I was in the military are some of the most special years that I had in my life. It's a very special place to be in. It's not an easy place to be in, because within that organization, there are certain things that make it quite challenging, just as a unique organization. But my personal experience, I can only say positive things. Yes, it's the structure and the order, that one is taught to have or taught to maintain, which I really appreciate. But I think, like anything else, it's the people. It's the people and the friends that I made there. And there's a sense of togetherness and family, regardless of the backgrounds that all these different people come from. They're all soldiers at the end of the day. And I think the best thing about anything in life is the people. And it's the people that make an organization what it is.
Okay, and then obviously, when you decided to study medicine and go being a doctor, it was also about the people. You wanted to help people. You wanted to actually save people's lives. How did you make that decision? Because it is a big responsibility for people.
Absolutely. That decision also came, I think, based on my background, based on my upbringing, and based on the family values that probably make me the person that I am today. My mom and dad were extremely hardworking people with a set of values that I hold very, very, very dear to me. And so, as a family, we've always valued family and friends. My parents were a couple that had a tremendous amount of friends, people who loved them so much. And so I think it's my love for people started very early on in my life. And so I also have a family member who's a doctor. So growing up, my dad's brother, who's about 74 or 75 years old now, he's a obstetrician and gynecologist for so many years, and he's an amazing man. And so I had an idea, and almost, if you want to call it a mentor or someone to look up to within that medical space that I could base my own dream on. And so that's something that I really appreciate.
Okay, and then how important do you think is having that mentor, have somebody, in fact, some people around you to help you, to guide you, to help you with the decisions to make? How important do you think that things are?
I think it's absolutely critical to anyone. There's no doubt that having good support and people around you who are always positive, who are always cheering you on, who never break your spirit, and who believe in your dreams. And that's something that I always had. But if I can just say, especially to the people out there where there are many people who don't have that kind of support, who don't have that kind of structure within their lives, all you need is one person to believe in you. You don't need many people. And in fact, many times, the only person that you need to believe in you is you. So I think it's really important, whilst having that incredible support system to always be there for you, you can do it without that support system. I think that's really important for us to mention.
And now mentioning that you can do it without that support system. How many times have you heard people say that they don't have the support, they cannot do this, they cannot do that because they don't have somebody backing them up, somebody believing in them? I assume you've encountered that quite frequently or a lot of times.
Well, I think within our own setting, within our own country, within our own communities, we know that there are large disparities between people within our own communities and our own country. So it's something that we need to be aware of, that there are many young people, especially, and not only young people, who find themselves in situations where they have no support. They don't have family, and they don't have the kind of support that other people do have. And so it's a very real thing. And so I use that as an opportunity, not just within my workspace, but as a person and wherever I find myself, to encourage and offer support to people and make them understand that it's the belief within themselves, first and foremost, that's way more important than the outside support. I think if we can spread that word, then we are doing something great.
Okay, so you're also very into motivating people, helping people, especially young people, as you said in the beginning. Why is that so close to your heart?
Oh, I think again, it's because I was surrounded by so many people, and I've been surrounded by so many supportive people throughout my life. From the time I was a young girl in my own family, as a student, I've always found myself in spaces where I've had incredible mentors. And so it seems only natural and only right for me to have received that gift, to offer that gift forward as well. And particularly in the space of young girls. I think that's where my real passion lies, is for young women, and to motivate and encourage young women to reach for the absolute stars, if I can say it like that.
Okay, and on the notion of reaching for the stars, reaching for, I would say, being
We're gonna
ambitious, being
patent a lot of lines after this interview, okay? Because we're coming
it's
up with
fine,
a
it's
lot
fine.
of captions
We'll
for posts.
we'll bolt all of them out. I'll bolt all of them out, and we can discuss something after the recording about that.
Exactly.
Okay, so you now want to patent a lot of things. Using that term now
No, sure.
quite frequently now. You're also
Yes.
an
It's
you're
the
also an
creativity,
ambassador.
Yaku. The creativity flows. Once I'm in the process, the creativity just comes. It just
Yeah.
flows naturally.
But that's a good thing that in the
Yeah.
conversation that the things come, and
Yeah.
luckily now it's recorded, so we can go look back at things. We don't have to write anything down. We can just go look
Well, there
back at
you
it.
go. There you go.
You're also an ambassador for science literacy. You're really also you want people to know more about that. You want to also spread the word on that. why is that? Why did that happen? How did you go into, I would say, going into that field?
I think again, in many ways by chance, but in other ways it was meant to be. So
Mm,
the gentleman who's actually the chairman of the KZN Science Center, and so my position is that I'm on the board of the KZN Science Center, and so the brainchild of that organization found me actually.
mm,
So he'd known of me for a few years, and then approached me and said, "Look, we like what you're doing, and we'd love to combine that with what we're doing." And we think that you would really complement what we're doing, and we'd love to have you on our board. And so that's how that position came to be for me, and
mm,
that's how that part of what I do came to be as well. And so again, my focus is on young girls and young women, to encourage them to take up careers in that space of STEAM, because we add the A to STEM, because that's for art, because we know that the artistic people and the creative people, we appreciate them as scientists too in many ways. So it's that area of science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics, what we call STEAM. It's in that area that I believe that's my mandate, to encourage young girls and young women to not be fearful of dreaming and taking up careers in that scientific space.
okay, and then why especially young women, especially young girls? Why is that?
Um, it's because within that space of STEM or
Mm,
STEAM, we see that there's quite a large gap between the male dominated part of
mm,
that world. And so we need more women. And like
mm,
anybody will tell you, in boardrooms, in organizations, in families, in whatever you're doing, you need diversity in communities. It's diversity that creates diverse thinking, diverse opinions,
mm,
diverse ways of going about things. And I mean, this has been proven in that diversity is what creates the most kind of greatness. It's because of the diversity in thinking and contribution that you get. And so we need more women in that space to create the diversity within that scientific space, because the innovation and the growth within that space will be even more amazing if we make it more diverse.
mm. Okay, then why do you think there's so big a gap between the amount of males and the amount of females in this kind of industry?
Well, I think that's just it's history.
Mm,
Unfortunately, it's history that's created that gap. History is responsible for many disparities within communities and organizations, or certain spaces and certain industries. And so it's over years and years and years that particular legislations and policies and laws that have created this major disparity.
mm,
What's great about it is that as women like myself, we've become so much more vocal, so much more involved in these spaces now, that the transformation about that disparity can start to take place.
mm. You also mentioned now that you become more vocal, that you can now, I would say, speak up. How would you say social media has influenced this and helped people, especially with this?
Oh gosh, I think it's in a massive way. You've hit the nail on
Mm,
the head. And social media is just one of maybe the most influential, but one of the most influential tools that have allowed us to get the voice out and to spread the word about how amazing women actually are. But I think it was only a matter of time, to be honest. And again, like we mentioned, opportunity. That's another fact, is that if you give the opportunity to the right people, then magic
mm,
starts to happen. And
mm,
so I can only hope that it's women like myself who've taken up positions within that scientific space and grown with them and become an example to other young women who particularly come from the communities that I come from. So Serena Williams always says, it's when you see someone that looks like you achieve greatness that you believe that you can do it also. So that's really important, that we provide role models relative to communities to allow those people in communities to understand that they can do it themselves.
Okay. And then while you were in the military, it was also obviously very male dominated. There was obviously a lot more of males than there are of females. Could you say that changed your outlook and your perspective on these kind of things as well? That has helped you kind of narrow down into, I would say, the gender equality things.
Yeah, it is interesting. It was quite a male dominated space, but at the same time, honestly, there are many tremendous females that have got positions within the military structures and high up in the military structures, and these are amazing women, and there are more and more and more of them. What I must also say is that my mentor in that military space, who remains a very important mentor in my life, was a man who supported me and wanted to see me succeed and still does now. So even within that male dominated space, there were many of those males who wanted to see women, especially women like me, like I say, who come from the communities that I come from. They wanted to see me succeed, and that's a great thing.
Okay. So we've talked about that previously as well, about having someone to help you succeed, having someone that can, I would say, yeah, help you succeed. And you're in that role now to help other people succeed. What kind of things offer you the most rewarding? Offer you the things that give you that kind of satisfaction, that kind of, yes, that this makes me feel great, that this makes my heart pound. What gives that to you?
I love it when I see a young person or any person grow and develop to a place where they have self-assurance, where they are able to make decisions for themselves, and where they mature so much into themselves and their self that they are able to stand on their own 2 feet. That doesn't mean that they don't need other people and that they don't need support and that they don't want to have families and family lives. But having a sense of self-assurance and self-belief is something I love to see someone develop. And so it's an extremely rewarding thing to have mentored somebody or encouraged somebody and they finally start that journey of self-assurance and self-belief. And it's something I believe that as a person yourself, if you have achieved so much, you have achieved nothing if you have not helped others to achieve the same greatness, to be honest. And that's something that you reach in your career. It just happens naturally.
Okay. And on your journey, you've mentioned that you've also made a few mistakes, that things haven't always gone your way, and that's the thing. So that's for every person goes through that kind of things on your way to the top, in your career, in your personal journey. So how did you approach the times that things weren't going so great, that things weren't always going in your favor, things were a bit tough, you was kind of disappointed sometimes? How did you approach that?
Sure, Yaku, if I can just say to you, I don't handle disappointment well. Even now, at 42 years old, I really struggle with disappointment, and it's a part of myself that is a work in progress, and I think I'll have to work on it for the rest of my life. I've made many mistakes, and I continue to make some mistakes now, as everybody does. But the important thing about making mistakes is that they are a gift to us. They really are, if we view it from that perspective. Making mistakes are a gift because it all depends on how long you stay mentally in that place of beating yourself up, of thinking about the mistake, of thinking about how you could have not done it a certain way and should have done it another way. Yes, it's important to review your mistake, but it's how quickly you can move out of that place and back into a forward moving and progressive thought process about how you're going to be better. And so you learn as you mature to stay in that space of disappointment a lot less and to move forward, but move forward better. And again, that's a skill. It takes practice. It takes making many mistakes to then perfect that.
Okay. And then how has your perspective changed regarding, I would say, failure, regarding disappointments throughout your life?
Again, I say I really used to beat myself up quite a lot, and stay in a very sort of sullen and disappointed state of mind if I think about 10, 20 years ago. And I think it's just after it's about achieving not just success in your life, but again about the self-assurance and the self-belief in and the expectation that you won't ever fail is something we need to get over. We need to normalize failure because failure is as much a part of life as success is a part of life. You can't be successful all the time because then you'd have no appreciation of true success if you just succeeded. It's like happiness. We can't be perpetually happy every single day. That's impossible. There will be days when we'll be down and sad, but it's how quickly we stay in that state of mind. And so I think that that's where my progress has come, that I have taught myself not to stay in that headspace of disappointment and failure for too long. You've got to be able to bounce back quickly and say to yourself, I've learned my lesson. I know what to do better. And then do better.
And okay, I while you were talking, I was thinking about the thing, but now at the end you've mentioned and to do better.
Yeah.
To think about doing better and to do better. How do you get into action? How do you get into the action, into going forward, into getting the ball rolling again? How do you get that while being disappointed? Then you're actually all kind of stagnant. You don't want to do anything. How do you get the ball rolling forward again?
I think action is very proportionally related to who you know you are. And so knowing yourself and knowing who you are. So if I think about Kim and who is Kim? Kim is a woman who loves the outdoors. She loves tennis. She loves working out. She loves being a mom. She loves people. She loves her home. She loves her work. So that's where you begin with the action. You think of who you are, you think of what you love, and you do what you love. You get up, you go for a walk, you go for that workout in the gym, you go and play some tennis. You spend time with your family. You spend time with your friends. You give it all you have in the office, at work, and with the people that you work with. And you just get back into who you are. And so the action, then the doing just comes and the positivity comes. It all comes back to who you are, what you love. And I think if you can always keep that sense of who you are, it's easy to bounce back.
Okay. And then what did you say is your thing for the future? What do you envision for the future, especially in your career, especially in science? What do you think the future will hold for you then in these fields?
How much time do you have? Because I could go on for very long about that. To be quite honest with you, the era that I'm in my life, I actually feel as if I've only been born now, if I can say that to you. I feel as if everything that's happened up until this point has only just prepared me for the incredible greatness that's ahead. I have so many plans And the person that I am now, I believe, is the person that I always wanted to be. And it's this person who will be able to execute all my dreams I have for the future. I think one of the most important parts of my plans for the future is about encouraging and supporting others. I feel that it's a calling. I feel that it's a gift. And so that is a very important part of my plans for the future. I think even from a business perspective, I've learned so much from a business perspective. And so there are many other things from a business perspective that I would like to explore going forward. And then I also have physical goals. So that never changes for me because I love working out, because I love playing tennis. I have some serious physical goals for the future.
Okay, and then on the notion of your career goals or your personal goals, what is the next goal? What is the next thing you want to achieve? What is that next step for you?
I would like to allow myself more time to go out and motivate and encourage people and formalize that and start to do it more, especially
Okay.
for young people. It's a like I say, it's a huge passion of mine, and I'd love to interact with young people more and make that a very serious part of what I do. I also believe that creating change, with not just within my own community but within the larger community, is something very important that I was always probably destined to do, to create major change in spaces, especially within that scientific space. There's lots of work that can be done there to bring more women into that space, encourage them to take up careers in that space, and for us to make science and technology and innovation more of a priority within our country, communities, schools, all of the above.
Okay, and on that note, where can people find you? Where can people reach out to you? Where can people see the work you are doing? What kind of platforms do you use to kind of spread this word, this positivity and encouragement?
So the social media platform that I am most active on is Instagram. And so you can find me there. My Instagram handle is at Dr. underscore Kim underscore Bish, Bish, all small case. I also have a Facebook page. I have a professional page, Dr. Kim Bishop, and then there's just my personal page, Kim Bishop. That's on Facebook. And then, so I have a private general practice. That's my sort of core baby, my core business. And that's in Ballito on the north coast of KZN. And so we have a beautiful office space at the Ballito Junction Mall, which is right as you enter Ballito. And so you can find me there. And all of
Okay,
those details
perfect.
are in my bio on the Instagram page. Telephone numbers, address. So I love to connect with people on Instagram. I think it's a great platform, and so people get to see not just me as a doctor, they get to see me as a person, me as a mom, and they get to see what I love doing. So I love it.
Okay, perfect. Let's stop the recording right here. And yeah, the round to thank.